The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hey! A triple feature,
3 films up on the screen.
One's a little heavy, one's a little sleek, and one's just caught between.
Laugh and cry and overanalyze. Dig through fleams with wide, wild eyes. Grab some popcorn, take your seat. 3 times the fun, 3 times the treat. Hey, a triple feature. That's what we're here to do. What we're here to do. Buckle up, the lights go down, and we'll watch them all with you.
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting premiere podcast, Triple Feature. I am your host, the mandated reporter and frankly unmortified Mr. Mark Radulich. And joining me tonight, straight from Broadway, it's Chae Tate. How do you do, madam?
I'm doing pretty damn good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while. You missed the David Fincher podcast. Where I think you were sick, right?
Yeah, I got really sick. I ended up sleeping for like 4 days straight.
Oh, my stars and goddess. That's the one. Well, I'm glad you've come back to us from the dead.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I guess maybe it was Tim Burton. Was that the last time you were on?
Yeah, I think it was Tim Burton.
Okay. Well, we're kicking off the year, our first of, will at least be a few, musical shows. We're talking about Rock of Ages, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Tommy. And I've got some information to share with everybody. But before I do, I just want to give you a quick opportunity to speak on these. First watches, you've seen them before. You love them, you hate them, you have no opinion, you don't know why you're here. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so Rock of Ages was the first time I'd seen that one.
Mhm.
That was fucking I don't know why you put me.
Oh, you and I are going to have words.
But I've seen a couple of productions of Jesus Christ Superstar. I actually really like the show. Not such a fan of the film.
Mhm.
And then Tommy, I absolutely love. It's an insane, trippy, just visual feast.
You and I don't agree on anything. It is great. What was that?
That's why we make great friends.
Yes, no. I was about to say, I said, that's why this works so well. You're like the female version of Robert. It's like we just completely have different points of view on everything. It's fantastic. I love it. All right, let's get into what the dealio. We are taking on 3 rock musicals that span 4 decades of cultural attitude shifts. Jesus Christ Superstar. Who are you? What do you say you are? Tommy from The Who and Rock of Ages. Woo! Seen together, these films don't just chart the evolution of rock music on screen. They chart how rebellion itself gets transformed, diluted, and eventually sold back to the audience as comfort food. That's not modern at all. Jesus Christ Superstar, relevant, that's what I should have said. Jesus Christ Superstar begins its lineage as a genuine act of cultural provocation. Originally conceived by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice as a 1970 concept album before ever hitting the stage, the project emerged at the height of the counterculture skepticism toward institutions, religious, political, and otherwise. The album's success led to a Broadway production and then to Norman Jewison's 1973 film adaptation, shot on location in Israel with a deliberately stripped-down, almost anachronistic visual style. The cast, Ted Neely as Jesus, Carl Anderson as Judas, and Yvonne Elliman as Mary Magdalene, was intentionally youthful and vocally raw, leaning more toward rock performers than traditional musical theater stars. What makes Jesus Christ Superstar endure isn't just its music, but its framing. The story is told largely through Judas's perspective, emphasizing doubt, betrayal, and the terrifying weight of myth making. Jesus isn't presented as a serene divine figure. He's exhausted, aren't we all? Overwhelmed and increasingly alienated by the expectations placed on him. Thematically, the film interrogates how movements form around charismatic figures and how quickly those figures are consumed by the narratives built around them. Historically, it was controversial on release, criticized by some religious groups and political activists alike, yet that controversy cemented its place as a serious artistic statement. Rock here isn't nostalgia, it's confrontation. Tommy, can you hear me? Released 2 years later and directed by Ken Russell, takes the confrontation and pushes it into outright sensory overload. You ain't kidding, Jack. Based on The Who's 1969 rock opera album, Tommy was already a landmark in proving that rock music could sustain a full narrative arc. Russell's 1975 adaptation amplifies everything: the symbolism, the volume, the surrealism, and the discomfort. Roger Daltrey stars as Tommy Walker, the deaf, dumb, and blind boy whose trauma leaves him disconnected from the world, while the supporting cast reads like a Hall of Fame lineup. Anne Margaret, Oliver Reed, Eric Clapton, Tina Turner, Elton John, and Jack Nicholson, each embodying grotesque, exaggerated avatars of authority, temptation, and exploitation. From a production standpoint, Tommy is aggressive and unapologetically abrasive. Russell treats the material like a fever dream, using extreme imagery, garish production design, and relentless musical momentum. Anne Margaret's infamous baked bean sequence alone signals that this is not a film interested in subtlety or comfort. Thematically, Tommy interrogates the machinery of worship, how trauma becomes spectacle, how followers project meaning onto silence, and how even spiritual awakenings can be commodified. By the film's final act, Tommy's rise as a messianic figure curdles into disillusionment, suggesting that mass movements inevitably collapse under their weight of expectation. Historically, Tommy polarized critics and audiences, but its legacy is secure as one of the most uncompromising rock films ever made. One that still feels hostile to passive consumption. Then we jump forward nearly 4 decades, because I really know how to put together a triple feature, by God, to Rock of Ages, and the tonal shift is immediate. Adapted from the Broadway jukebox musical and directed by Adam Shankman, the 2012 film is built entirely around 80s hair metal hits from bands like Journey, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, and Poison. Set on the Sunset Strip in 1987, the story follows a pair of starry-eyed dreamers trying to make it in the music scene, while a corporate-backed redevelopment threatens to sanitize rock culture out of existence. The cast reflects that hybrid intent. Broadway performers like Diego Boneta and Julianne Hough share the screen with movie stars like Tom Cruise, oh boy, do they, Alec Baldwin, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Paul Giamatti. From a production standpoint, Rock of Ages is slick, self-aware, and engineered for mass appeal. The film embraces excess, big hair, bigger choruses, winking humor, while never truly threatening the audience. Tom Cruise's performance as Stacey Jacks, as he summons the soul of Bret Michaels, is the centerpiece, a knowingly cartoonish embodiment of rock god mythology filtered through modern irony. Thematically, the film gestures towards rebellion, against censorship, against commercialization, but always with the safety net of nostalgia. Rock is no longer dangerous here, it's brand, a vibe, a shared playlist meant to trigger recognition rather than discomfort. This is where the through line of triple feature becomes clear. Jesus Christ Superstar uses rock to interrogate belief and power in real time, asking uncomfortable questions about leadership, faith, and sacrifice. Tommy turns that interrogation inward, exploring how trauma, celebrity, and worship intertwine and how movements eat their own profits. Rock of Ages, by contrast, arrives after the battle is already over. It treats rock rebellion as historical artifact, something to be reenacted rather than lived, sold as a communal sing-along rather than a challenge to authority. Taken together, these films map the journey of rock music from insurgent force to institutional product. They show how counterculture becomes canon, how outrage becomes aesthetic, and how rebellion, once capable of destabilizing belief systems, eventually gets packaged as entertainment. Tonight's discussion isn't just about which movie works best or which soundtrack hits hardest. It's about what happens when a cultural language loses its teeth and whether anything is gained or irreversibly lost in the process. All right, Shay, let me ask you a question. You said that You don't like Rock of Ages. Why do you hate music? Your thoughts?
I don't hate music. I hate their versions of this music.
All
I
right, let me read.
love all of the songs that are in this. I just do not like how they did.
Okay, so that was what I was going to ask you next. Now that I was done being silly, um, because this is Journey, Foreigner, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, as was said before. I mean, all the greats in the decade that was the '80s, the greatest decade, America at peak, peak culture, peak everything, peak fashion, you name it. It's never been any better than the '80s. But these are all songs people know and love, and you just said that you like the songs, but you said you don't like how they were used in the musical.
Yeah, so I don't like how they were used in the musical. I don't like how they were performed. A lot of the mashups just don't work very well. There's so many elements of this musical that just seems rammed in for the sake of a reference. Um, and the entire thing is that it's that god awful early 2000s to 2010s comedy style, and it more annoys me than
You're gonna have to
anything
tell me what you
else.
mean by that because there's a lot of things about Rock of Ages that I found wildly entertaining. Its attempt at comedy was not one of them. I did not find anything funny about this.
Yeah, there was a grand total of nothing about this movie. Even though they tried very fucking hard.
Hmm.
Um, it just the entire thing seemed like it was some boomer from the Midwest decided that he liked rock and roll and shoved a bunch of shit into a blender and was like, let's put Russell Brand in it because kids. I also don't know why Russell Brand was ever in anything.
Okay, let me give you my take on Rock of Ages. First, shocker, I really liked this, but I think I liked it because of its mass appeal, popularity, and simplicity. I like the fact. I mean, Robert always gets on me because I will most often uh, giggle at the jingling keys, and I think it's a little unfair to me. There are times I bat them away, and there are times that I do. It kind of depends on what kind of jingling keys there are and what kind of mood I'm in. This was a situation where I think this cast, beginning with Tom Cruise, is fucking awesome. Like the lead kid and the lead gal look like they didn't get they weren't casted for Legally Blonde, but their agents were like, "But we can get you Rock of Ages." How does that sound? They
Yeah,
they definitely seem like the not ready for the movie screen players, but are just fine on stage.
yeah, they were definitely like rock kid Lego bricks.
Yeah, but Tom Cruise, I'm going to ask you in a few minutes your thoughts on Tom Cruise. I suspect they're the exact opposite of mine. But I love Tom Cruise. I think he's fantastic. I don't always love everything that he's in. He's been in some turkeys. But him kind of playing this obtuse version of Bret Michaels, and I'm sure people are going to yell and scream if they've ever, like there are other people that he's closer to in this. But between the hat and the leather, that's all I could see was Bret Michaels from Poison. And I have known,
You resembled Axl Rose a little.
yeah, you know what? Now that
It
you
might have
say
been
it,
a mashup of them.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this was kind of a like Axel Axel Rose's sort of serpentine physical presentation and his absolute diva personality mixed with Bret Michaels. If I hadn't been a musician, I'd have been a whore personality and cowboy hat style, I guess would be the word. So yeah, he's
Mhm.
kind of playing a cross between Bret Michaels and Axl Rose. and he's doing it with aplomb. He looks like he's having the time of his life. He's fucking hilarious in this. Every scene with Tom Cruise, I was laughing that stuff was funny to me. I was laughing my ass off. I was having a good time. His scenes with Paul Giamatti and the absolute abuse he puts that man through, as I guess the villain of this thing, I guess he deserved it. But like the bit where the Rolling Stone article comes out and it absolutely rakes him through the mud, and and he didn't know that their performance at the bar, he took all the proceeds and left the bar with nothing, and he feels bad about the whole thing, feels that the bar owner got a raw deal, and his way of handling it is peeing on Paul Giamatti's shoes. And
It was kind of funny.
I
I got
laughed
a little
hard
bit
at
of a
that.
giggle out of that one.
There you go. See, if it breaks Shay, it has to be good. So I
It
loved all
didn't
that
break me. That was a solid snip.
stuff. But I've also, I think part of it was I very much recognized that kind of behavior because I've seen it not just in celebrities, but I have been around people who they're like cats. It's like, I need you to be on stage and doing a thing. I need you to be at a place at a time. I need you to behave yourself. And they're just like, no, I am, I am completely oblivious to everyone's needs, wants, and boundaries, and I'm gonna have a sandwich. Like, you know. So it was funny to see that kind of thing, and I also hate it because I hate that kind of person. I can't say
These
enough
people
about
are
how
the
much
worst.
I can't say enough about how much I love this music. Every single song in here is a banger. I think my only complaint is because they're done kind of Broadway style. Some of the performances lacked a bit of passion, lacked a bit of intensity, especially given how the song is originally performed. That's the risk you take when you do it in this way. What do you think about that? Let's talk about. I want to get your opinion on how the songs were performed.
So I definitely think that they lacked intensity and passion for it. I think the transition that they tried to make going from rock music to that kind of uh Broadway-esque performance style, it didn't work for it. I love a lot of songs in here. Uh but I don't love how they did it. I'm not a fan of how that girl sings. Like, it seems like she should be in a country musical rather than a rock musical because it just whatever she's doing, it's not working.
I think that's fair.
Uh,
Yeah, she definitely had kind of a twang in her natural speaking voice. And this is
mhm.
supposed to be somebody who, gets off the bus, on Sunset Boulevard and is rocked this way and that by the mean streets of Los Angeles. And it's I once said it has been said rather of The Wire. Everyone take a drink. That if you truly showed the world as it was, because The Wire gets close, but The Wire has to have some drama and some levity to it because, quote, if you showed the world as it was in The Wire, it would be too bleak. No one would watch.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the impression I get with how they treated her and her character is if we truly showed you, like a better version of what happens to people when they come to the big city would be like The Deuce, to name another David Simon show. You get off the bus in the city and you're immediately taken advantage of and you end up prostituting or something like that. Here, this is such a sanitized version of that heartbreaking story of people who, leave their Midwest home, come to the big city and get abused because this is supposed to be like a pop culture mainstream feel good story. So I think
Yeah.
she's a reflection of what the audience will be willing to buy. I would agree with you. I don't think she's the best performer.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of the sanitization of this particular story.
Hmm.
Some places it works, but
You
this
want
one it
you
just
want more
I
bleakness.
wanted it to
You
be a
wanted them to be,
little.
I was like, you want more bleakness. You wanted them to be shooting heroin in a horse barn.
Well, I at least wanted it to be a little more aesthetically dirty. Like I wanted there to be at least a difference between the massive rock star and this dingy little hole. And it just this bar felt like it felt like a set piece.
Hmm.
It didn't feel like it was an actual bar.
I said recently when this will make a lot of sense because you haven't seen it, but one of my complaints about the Smashing Machine was at the time that they're documenting the fights that happen in the Smashing Machine, they were having them in a Japanese stadium, but in the movie, everything looks like they filmed it in a closet.
Yeah. Like
Um,
it's everything is very obviously a soundstage and it's claustrophobic and not really in a good way.
hmm Okay, what did you think of the male lead? Um, he didn't bother me nearly as much as she did, and I think I will tell you this: you're reacting to like they sanitized up her story. I think they rushed his. Like,
I rushed the shit out of his.
there's entire beats of his humiliation and rebirth that completely in the service of other stuff in the movie. Like, this is over 2 hours long, and okay, so some of that you can, it has to be the performances, but I'll tell you, they shortchanged a couple of different stories because there's way too much going on in this thing. Like, there's
Yeah.
not a like you spend a lot of time with Catherine Zeta-Jones and to a lesser extent Bryan Cranston, but they don't really do anything with those scenes to further the plot along.
Yeah, they don't I do feel like a bunch of stuff got cut, which is fairly normal with a musical movie that's been adapted uh from an actual Broadway show. Because Broadway shows are 4 hours long with an intermission.
True.
And I didn't look up how long this actually was, but it feels like they cut down a 4 hour musical into 2 hours. Was it two or two and a half? It was a
It's about
really long.
It was over 2 hours for sure because I was trying to plot out when I was going to watch these to be ready for the show, and I did it was kind of like I looked at Rock of Ages and I was like, over 2 hours, who has this kind of time? I go to I go to Tommy and I'm like, 2 hours, what the hell? Doesn't anybody want to make a 90-minute feature anymore? And then I saw Jesus Christ Superstar was shorter than 2 hours. I went, oh, thank God.
Yeah, well, and Jesus Christ Superstar is kind of a short musical.
Yeah.
Like that's just how long the musical generally is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. Paul Giamatti as the um as the evil band manager, he was fine.
Liked him. He was one of the better parts of the movie. Like he's been playing slimy assholes for a good long
Yes,
while, and he did it perfectly.
yes. It's amazing how much stuff Paul Giamatti has done. It's funny because I kind of selected these on my minimal knowledge that they were all to one degree or another a rock opera, and that's literally all I knew about all of them. Well, that the Tommy was by the Who,
Mhm.
but that's kind of all I knew. And so I didn't do any research on Rock of Ages before I watched it, and I'm seeing this giant cast list of like mega superstars. I'm like, holy cow, it's like the Avengers. Like, my God, Paul Giamatti's in this, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Bryan Cranston, like Alec Baldwin knocked me on my ass. I was like I'm so used to Alec Baldwin just playing people in suits. You know what I mean? Like have you ever seen the? I always got to be careful when I ask you these questions. Have you ever seen the movie Glengarry Glen Ross?
No, I haven't.
Are you aware of the coffee is for closers speech?
Oops.
Yeah, because I can't imagine
I am
you've
aware
known
of it.
I can't imagine you've known Dorian all this time and he's never either referenced it or just blurted out mid conversation.
There are a lot of things that I can quote that I've never seen.
Yeah, the bit other than the coffee is for closers, which is a line Alec Baldwin says in
Mhm.
Glenn Ross, is I can't remember the actor's name, but he goes, "Hey, what's your name?" So the setup is that Glenn Ross, I believe, they're the Jack Lemmon and a bunch of other actors. They are real estate salesmen, and they're not doing well, and I think that they're some sort of salesman. I don't remember if it's real estate or not, but the company sends Alec Baldwin to kind of give him a motivational speech because Alec Baldwin is very successful, and he comes in and
Mhm.
abuses all these guys verbally. And so and so like Jack Lemmon goes to get coffee, and that's how it starts. He was like, "Put the coffee down. The coffee is for closers." And the other next guy, well, "What's your name? Who are you? What's your name? Fuck you. That's my name. I have said that many a time." And proceeds to go tear these guys a new asshole. So I'm used to Alec Baldwin from like uh, 30 Rock or Glenn Ross, stuff like that. So to see him as like kind of an irritable bar owner was kind of a treat. It's interesting to see him with long hair.
Yeah, he definitely did well, and he very much exemplified that old guy that used to rock
Hmm.
kind of attitude. Um, 'Cause
Somebody has
a
to be
lot
an
of my
adult in the
dad's friends
room.
are like that.
Yeah,
Huh?
he very much has like his character is the reluctant adult.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be, but shit needs to happen. So
Yes.
I guess he's gonna be.
Um, I think you're right. I think it has too pristine a look to it. It has a very candy coated aesthetic. Like I've been to Sunset Boulevard. That ain't Sunset Boulevard. There wasn't nearly enough strip clubs. First of all, like like his club is basically supposed to be the Viper Room. Um, and I've been to the Viper Room. That ain't the Viper Room. Like there there needed to be a faint smell of piss and blood in the air. There was a severe lack of
Bar reminded me of
cocaine.
the VFW. Yeah, that bar reminded me of the VFW in my hometown. Like,
What is this, a Moose Lodge? What are we doing here? Um, but yeah, I don't. I was not in love with the set design of this movie.
yeah, the set design just it was this entire movie oozes early 2000s bad choices.
Okay, you say great things. I need you to explain some of them. What do you mean by that?
So there was a very specific stylistic decision that was made in the early 2000s, and this spans a lot of films. This is everything from horror to comedy to dramas, everything in between, where they decided that they wanted to sanitize everything for the lowest common denominator.
Hmm.
Um, which means that we get very clean, very uninteresting sets. We get jokes that aren't given enough time to land. We're given emotional moments that immediately pan to something else. It just, it's, it's like the producers decided that they wanted to make movies for ADHD people, but they didn't know what ADHD was like. So they just made it for their 6 year.
As you were talking, the phrase that came to mind was in the 90s and early 2000s, there was an intentional push to beige everything.
Yes, it's it's very beige, and beige covered absolutely everything, including stylistic decisions in movies at the point.
Yeah. Last thing I'm going to ask you, costumes. What did you think of the costumes in the movie? Because I know that's one of the set design and costumes are kind of your thing. So I'd like your opinion on how they made people look in this movie.
Well, I mean, the costumes were like again, it was very beige. It seemed like someone decided that they wanted to do an 80s theme night and just pulled out of their teenager's closet instead of getting anything that was actually from the 80s.
I was gonna say this was very Hot Topic before there was Hot Topic.
It was very Hot Topic. It was okay, it was bad Hot Topic. It was today Hot Topic where they sell Disney shit and not like 90s Hot Topic where they had trip pants and skateboards on the wall.
Yes, the pop culturing of counterculture. All right. I feel like we've said all that needs to be said about Rock of Ages. Do you want to move on?
But I would like to add one more thing.
By all means.
So my favorite part of this movie was during the middle of "We Built This City." Dorian popped his head in and started doing the response calls, and it was fucking hilarious.
What is the number they do in the church? It's Catherine Zeta-Jones' big number.
It was "You Give Love a Bad Name," I think.
Let me double check.
No,
No, I don't think that's right.
it was something close to that.
All right, hang on. What was the number Catherine Zeta-Jones, like I didn't just watch this movie, does in Rock of Ages? Thank God for AI.
This movie is so unflavorous.
Hit me with your best shot.
Oh, yeah, hit me with your best shot. Okay.
So, Hit Me With Your Best Shot is a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
As a dance troupe cover performance of said song, it's well done. Catherine Zeta-Jones and the nice middle-aged ladies behind her all did a fantastic job of performing and projecting Pat Benatar's "Hit Me With Your Best Shot."
Mm-hmm.
The fuck was it doing in that scene? That scene is them at the church going, "We're gonna take down Stacey Jackson. We're gonna take down rock music," and it, like she's supposed to be like a Tammy Faye Baker type character, or a Tipper Gore. She's like, "Hey, we're gonna have nice Christian music, and we're gonna get rid of all this rock filth." And you find out later it's because she used to bang Stacey Jacks, Tom Cruise, and who hasn't, banged Tom Cruise, and so she's got a dog in the hunt. She's out for revenge, is what she is. But at least in that scene, they're like, "Look, rock is bad. This is all sleaze. It's all corrupting the children, and it all has to go." All right. When they did, "We're Not Going to Take It" as a protest number, I understood that. What the I don't understand how "Hit Me With You," and I actively thought this while I was watching. I was like, good song, they're performing it well, but what does this have to do with their message, with the thing that they're trying to get across? Like everything else that they did in the show, more or less met the tone of the scene. This one, and that's why I'm calling it out, and I wanted to get your opinion, and then we'll move on. This one seemed utterly incongruent to what was going on in that scene with those characters.
I think it did, and I think the excuse, completely honest, I think the excuse for this entire movie was a bunch of celebrities got together and wanted to dance to 80s music. Like that's the only thing that they were thinking about. Everybody has a fantastic time.
Yeah,
but
Catherine Zeta-Jones, what would you like to dance to? Cotton Eye Joe. What? Can you imagine? Where did you come from? Where did you go?
That would have been fucking hilarious.
Honestly, Cotton Eye Joe matched as much to that scene as "Hit Me With Your Best Shot." I would have accepted it more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you, Stacey Jackson, all of your rocker friends. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it just.
Go ahead.
That was kind of the entire film. I felt like a lot of it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense, and I think it was just an excuse for a bunch of super popular actors to sing rock music and be silly.
Well, sometimes that's all you need. All you need is love. Wah, 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 wah. All right. Jesus Christ Superstar. Let's go back to you for a moment here. You said you've seen a bunch of different productions of this?
So I've seen a few different productions of this. I've seen one live show. Then I also saw the 2000 and something version that had Alice Cooper as the king.
Oh, you mean as Pontius
Can't
Pilate?
remember. No, as the king that does the so you're the great the
Oh,
you are the Christ, you're the great
got
Jesus
it. Okay.
Christ.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I I really liked the stage play version that I had seen. I absolutely loved the 2000 whatever version. Uh, this one felt a little bit flat.
I have never seen Jesus Christ Superstar before. Never. Never in my life. Heard some of the music. Leibach. I don't know if you're into industrial at all, German industrial music. But when you're done
Uh,
here,
yeah,
have you heard Leibach's cover of Jesus Christ Superstar?
I might have. I've heard a few covers of Jesus Christ Superstar stuff, and some of them have been metal.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a chance that I have heard of it.
Leibach's the most famous one of that particular song that I've heard of, and I love it because because Leibach sounds like this: Jesus Christ, oh gee, it sounds like a funeral dirge.
Yeah.
Because like the original song, has almost like a gospel quality to it. Then there's this sad fucker, Jesus Christ. So it's the Undertaker. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna ask you some personal questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So you live in the Midwest where Jesus lives, um, and you've seen these performances. Did you ever come across people that still had problems? Anyone in your family have issues with Jesus Christ Superstar?
People in my family don't know what a musical is. Very few of them have seen Jesus Superstar.
How would they have reacted had you said, "I would like to show you some culture now"?
Uh, I mean, so my dad's the family's very country, um, and not particularly serious about religion.
Okay.
I actually grew up atheist, so I don't know jack shit about Christianity. Um,
Why did anyone let you
but
live? Why did anyone leave you in the Midwest? That's not where you belong.
no, it's definitely not where I belong. I'm trying to get out. I'm trying so hard, man.
Did someone leave you in a basket somewhere in Missouri with a note that said, "Take care of my baby"? You belong in like Chicago
No, but
or
as
some
soon as
shit.
my sister and I graduated, they fucking ditched. They're
Yeah.
in Florida.
Nice. Okay. Well, that explains why you come here periodically. Okay.
Yeah.
So there were no fun Jesus Christ Superstar stories with Christians still shaking their fist at this thing that you're aware of. It's fine.
Yeah,
Um,
not that I'm aware of.
no, I grew up in New York. We're all Satanists up there, so this is fine. Nobody gave a shit. But like I said, my dad would, among all the other musicals he played in the house, this is one of them. So that's really all I knew about it. When I think about interpretations of the Passion, um, this doesn't really come up as something that was particularly heretical or controversial. It may have been in its time, but I remember like Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ. That really bugged people. Years later, Mel Gibson's going to do The Passion of the Christ, and people are going to compare it to a snuff film. So, that had a bit of controversy to it. Um, but I don't remember people complaining too much about Jesus Christ Superstar much after it got released. Uh, so this is the Passion of the Christ. It's Jesus' story. It's the same Passion play you've heard 1,000 times before. Um, I will tell you the the weirdest thing to me about Jesus Christ Superstar is that it's playing with modernity, and modernity in that this time was the 70s. It's
Mhm.
playing with modernity while also trying to be a period piece. It's weird, Shay. It doesn't know it doesn't know what it
His
wants to be. Um it doesn't know, if it wants to be, people in 70s outfits doing 2000-year-old history or not. And it seemed to be doing both at the same time, and that's weird, Shay. Was that done purposefully?
don't know if they did it purposefully for this film. The other ones that I have seen have a little bit of an anachronistic style, but um, it's more of that ancient time through the stylistic choices of of the modern times. Like the 2000 something one, um, most of the most of the costumes are still that ancient style, but it's got a little bit of this like diesel punk up in the edges of the um up in the edges of the sets. It just this one was so weird. It kind of felt like they took the Broadway cast and just dumped them in the middle of the desert
It,
and
it looked like they captured
recorded
the.
them rehearsing.
I was gonna say it looked like they kidnapped the cast from Hair, and it was like, all right, keep your clothing on, and now do Jesus Christ Superstar.
Mhm. It was just it was very strange. And the bus scene at the start and the end, like I know it was a weird framing device because they just took and dumped them in the middle of the desert
Yeah,
and then
I
they
had to
did.
read the Wikipedia plot for this. It was like a group of performers drive out to the desert to do a rendition of Jesus Christ Superstar, and then they don't do it anymore. It's like it just becomes the story, and then at the end we're back to this again, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, like it was very strange, and I'm wondering if cocaine was involved with the choices made on this particular version of it. But
Well,
I've
it was
seen
the
some
'70s after
fantastic
all.
versions. Yeah, it was so strange.
And then
This
Jesus is
can be a
dressed.
beautiful musical.
Yeah, I'll talk about the good stuff in a second, but I had to talk about this confusing stuff first. And it's so funny because like everybody, like I said, looks like they're doing a rendition of Hair. I had to check several times if I was watching the right musical. And then Jesus pops out, and he's looking like traditional white Jesus. And I'm just like, for God's sakes, pick a
It also
costume
seemed like
style.
he was stoned out of his gourd. Like just
Like,
some of his facial expressions were like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm gonna die soon." Okay.
I, kind of. I almost got the impression like he was like off stage, like off camera. And they're like, "All right, get out. All right, Steve, get out there before." No, no, I don't want to do it. Like before every take, there's like a guy with a gun offset, like perform, monkey.
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. Yikes. Yeah, stoned was one way to interpret him. Scared to death was, and confused was how I interpreted him. So my favorite thing in Jesus Christ Superstar. So again, the guy playing Jesus, and it's so funny because if like, and I don't want to go off on a large tangent of this, but the Jesus has been interpreted. The look of Jesus has obviously been interpreted many different ways, and not even the never mind the fact that he was probably closer to something Arabic than not. But Renaissance paintings and all, he's white with
Yeah.
kind of auburn hair.
I mean, all of those painters use their boyfriends for reference, so
Yeah, but Jesus is
I
always
guess that
kind of
was just Renaissance twins.
yeah. So Jesus is always like a very slight kind of petite man. Um, you know, it, you don't really hear that Jesus looked like fucking Dave Batista or anything like that.
Would be so funny.
That's how I would want to do Jesus Christ Superstar because what I'm getting to here. Because again, here is this very slight, very unassuming, soft man, and he's like, I will, like that suits the scene where he's confronted by the lepers and they're like, heal me, Jesus. And he is like, form a line. Like, this is a bit much. Like, oh,
That
I
scene was scary.
I must withdraw. I can't deal
Like
with
that
this.
shit seemed like it was ripped straight out of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. More braids. Go away, lepers. Um, but contrast that with, again, same slight, withdrawn, um, soft man, and the scene where he's turning tables over. Um, and he's like confronting the money lender, which because of the way they did it, it looks like he's in a flea market. It's just like
Yeah.
tearing over. Who's like, I understand he's Jesus and I'm kind of making a funny here, but no one could just tackle him. Because again, that scene needed Dave Bautista. He's like, dinner, and like running and like knocking over tables. Batista.
Pick the dude up and put him outside. Shoot him off like he's a
we need a body double.
like he's a gecko.
Jason Momoa, come on in here. Like, here we go. But here's this very slight man knocking over these tables, and all I could do was laugh. Like, it's a great scene, and he's trying his level best to be intense, but it was like if my son freaked out and started turning over tables at the Busy Bee.
It's there were decisions made on this musical, and
So tell me, I've been talking for a while. What are your thoughts on the different elements of Jesus Christ Superstar? What worked, what didn't work, in your opinion?
So I actually did really like the singing cast. I'm not sure if it's the same cast, but it's actually very similar. I have a vinyl record that's the original 1970 whatever cast, and I really love it. It's a fantastic album. It's got a amazing 1970s sound. But to be completely honest, the music is pretty much the only thing that I really liked about this. It seemed like they weren't really trying with this one. Like
Aesthetically and like production wise, it seemed cheap to you?
Yeah, aesthetically, production wise, they really should have done a much fuller set. When you're on Broadway, the sets are a lot more closed in, and it makes everything feel a lot more intimate. But putting them out in these massive deserts with almost nothing else, it doesn't give it really scope or make it seem like anything is grand. It just kind of makes it feel empty. And it was very strange, and the emptiness of the sets kind of leaked into the character interactions, because I know characters interact in this, but it doesn't feel like they interact in this. Like, it feels like a bunch of music videos chopped up and then shoved back together into some kind of weird 2-hour promotional video for this musical. And it is so strange and very disjointed, and it kind of weirded me out a little bit, because it's not what I've seen from the stage play.
Let me ask you a question. What's your opinion on large dance ensembles, especially as done in musicals? Do you have a concerted opinion or a style you prefer or anything? Because there was a very distinct dance style in this, and I'm wondering if you had an opinion on it.
So the dance numbers in this, it could work in certain cases. I have seen some trippier musicals that have that weird, like, wobbly
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Doing a
Yeah,
Country Roads
and
there.
it can definitely work, especially in really big dance numbers when you have
Hmm.
a costume designer that has done a lot of work with like movement and texture, because
Hmm.
it can give you a really trippy effect if you do it correctly.
Hmm.
Like there are dance numbers that you can watch that it it makes you feel like you're on acid. Um, but with this, it just I don't mind the dancing itself, but
Hmm.
when combined with all of the other elements, it falls flat. Like it just if Rock of Ages was beige, this movie is very solidly gray.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think I agree in spirit. I don't know if I would call it gray. It seems like thin sunlight through a window and maybe a
Yeah,
curtain. Like the sun shines through a window and there's a curtain there, so it's still penetrating, but it's very like almost transparent. That's kind of how
okay.
this feels to me. Like it feels like light sunlight.
Yeah, there's pieces of this fantastic musical to get through. It just whatever curtain they put up is not letting enough of that light shine through.
Yeah, subdued, I guess would be the word. So I will close with my final thoughts on Jesus Christ Superstar. Um, One, you've seen one passion play, you've kind of seen them all, and you know at that point, I'm just kind of trying to find something to latch on to. And I like the songs. Some of the musical numbers go on a little too long. Like there's a lot of like very long dance breaks in these things. To the point where like this feels less like a musical and Jesus Christ Superstar the interpretive dance.
So I think a lot of those were actually supposed to be where there was dialogue. I remember there being dialogue in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Hmm. The guy playing Judas
And
is good. He's got
yeah,
he there's a lot of power in them. I think when he finally loses his shit with after betraying Jesus, that stuff was pretty powerful. It's good. The the costumes on like the Jewish moneylenders, I think they were with the weird hats. They all look like they were wearing like kind of gay BDSM stuff. I was like, I don't odd costume choice, and I almost hesitated to criticize it because I'm wondering if it's always that dumb and gaudy looking. And it's like, oh, that's what it's supposed to be. They always make the Jews look like that. Okay, I still like it's like when somebody tries to do an impression of Star Trek and well, we have to make the aliens weird looking.
so they do always have more ostentatious outfits and stuff like that, and a lot of
Hmm.
that. If you get the right designers, they will take elements from history and
instead
place
of
it into
instead
the
of David Lynch's guy.
yeah, whatever the fuck is this one. Is that actually David Lynch's guy? Because
I don't know. I'm
fucking
making a joke.
okay. But yeah, if you do have the right designer, there is a difference between the moneylenders and the rest of the group.
Hmm.
Um, but normally it's with what I've seen from it, it's they use a lot more color. Uh they use really nice fabrics. They use a lot of things that would adhere to Pistentiary laws
Hmm.
time. So in way back fucking when, they used to have laws on what you could and could not wear based on your profession. And it was literally illegal for you to wear something like from a class above you.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the money lenders in this were well, the choices in this were just choices.
All right. Anything else
They
about
were
Jesus Christ
choices.
Superstar before we move on?
Not really.
All right. let's talk about Tommy. This is like your favorite of the three, isn't it?
This is my favorite three.
Right. So Tommy, as you may have heard, is deaf, dumb, and blind, but he sure plays a mean pinball. Your thoughts? This is so fucking weird. Not since I've seen Pink Floyd The Wall have I just been annoyed while watching a movie of like this type. This is like when my son asked me what I was doing this week tonight, and I said I was doing Rock of Ages, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Tommy was like, "Well, I don't know what any of those words mean. Tell me, explain it to me." I'm like, "Well, they're all musicals." And then he started to walk away, and I said, "Come back, don't catch and cradle me. Come back, I'm here for you." And I said, "Explain more of this to me." And so I told him, I told him about Tommy, and he was just like, "Oh, the British have rock and roll." That was his reaction. I was like, "Yes, there was like a whole British invasion of rock and roll that came to America, and we adopted it and named it George." And he was like, "Oh, okay, that's where the Who came from." But like as much as I like the Who, Bob O'Reilly and all of that, you could. I compared it to like I wanted to do Tommy for this, but I could have just as easily paired it with Pink Floyd's The Wall and just done like
Yeah.
3 acid rock musicals and been very specific. Because again, it's boy in the 70s. Let's do drugs and taste color. That's what we're gonna do. And that's
Yeah.
kind of my impression of Tommy. Your thoughts?
I mean, you're definitely not wrong. And honestly, that's part of why I love this movie. It is a very strange, overstimulating, drug-fueled, just fucking weird movie. And a lot of the time, those kinds of movies can click something in my brain, and my brain shuts down, and I look at the pretty colors and listen to the pretty sounds, and it just, it's honestly, it's kind of relaxing to me.
Mm.
Uh, because I don't generally think about the plot for Tommy, but I remember the scenes very well,
Yeah.
and I love it. And it's so incredibly 70s with the color and the texture and the insane amount of saturation, and it's got some fantastic music in it, and I love it, and it's so
Tommy reminded me I should not watch movies after 10 o'clock.
yeah.
About halfway through this, I was having a hard time staying awake.
Oh,
And I think my thing with Tommy is, yes, I understand there's a narrative here, there's some degree of a plot, but for the most part, it's let's watch this poor disabled boy get tortured for 2 hours with really weird imagery. That was kind of my takeaway from Tommy. I told you I was going to have the least amount to say about this. So, boy,
yeah.
if you're like, why do I come on this podcast and he doesn't let me talk? Now's the time because I have almost nothing to add. Like I can ask you questions, but like to me, the big selling point here is to listen to some of the Who's music. But even like some of the stuff that's not the Who, or some of the stuff that's like not a traditional Who song, it seemed very repetitious to me. They kept doing the same things over and over and over again throughout this, and like I'm remembering a conversation I had with Robert not that long ago, where your movie can't just be a collection of themes and that's it. And
Yeah.
I think Tommy is image like there's a lot of independent elements to Tommy that work really well. The music is mostly good. The imagery is very unique. And the themes I think are very resonant. As a whole, it is not a pleasurable experience for me.
It's a very strange experience. Um, I think I like the weird discordance of Tommy because when I was like 12, my brother introduced me to Monty Python, and it seems very much like a skit show that would show up in Monty Python,
It is definitely very British, yes.
but more serious. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's some of what I really love about it. I can definitely understand how this is not everybody's musical. This is a fucking weird musical.
Made me long for Wicked.
Oh, yeah, it's the plot is very hard to grasp. I am honestly surprised that they bothered to make a plot for that, because to be completely honest, if it was just the visuals and the Who music, I'm sure it would have done just as well.
I would rather watch Cats again. The movie.
The CG one.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, buddy.
They can't all be singers, as Les Claypool once told us. All right, I'm gonna give you the final word here on Tommy. If you were to sell somebody who likes musicals, on this, you're like, okay, well, if you like musicals, then here's why you should watch Tommy. What would you tell them?
To be honest, it probably depends on what kind of musicals you like. If you like uh Rocky Horror, Shock Treatment, any of the like really weird cult musicals, then absolutely, because this is an acid trip in 2 hours. But if you like more of the traditional ones that have a very clear plot line and make sense, then it's definitely for you.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about any of these three movies, or anything, any final thoughts? If not, we'll start to roll out here.
No, I think I'm good. I think we covered everything.
All right. Well, folks, if you like the musical musings of one Chae Tate, she will be back unless she wants to appear sooner, and we'll talk about it after the show. I drafted you in the service. Do you know what that service is?
No, I do not know what that sentence is.
Well, you should, because you clicked yes to it. But we're going to do a Kevin Kline live performance triple feature. And this is mostly because I really wanted to talk about the Pirates of Penzance. And I couldn't figure out how to fit it into a triple feature without just throwing it with two other musicals and not having a theme.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked ChatGPT, and we negotiated, and we decided that these three movies are all three Kevin Kline musical performance movies: The Pirates of Penzance, De Lovely, and A Prairie Home Companion. How excited are you for this?
I love Pirates of Penzance. I did Pirates of Penzance. That was a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, I can't wait to hear all about it.
I don't know what the second one is, and Prairie Home is NPR.
Yeah, it's a movie. It is also an NPR thing, but it's also a movie. It's what ChatGPT suggested we do, so we will do as our Lord and Savior Skynet tells us.
Okay.
But yes, this was
as long as our robot overlords are happy.
That is the idea. But yeah, this was mainly driven by as we're gonna keep doing these, I want to find stuff I actually want to talk about, and there was no other connection to anything else I could find for the Pirates of Penzance. Like nothing that the director had done, the style of the musical, anything like that. Like nothing really jumped out at me. So it suggested doing like three Kevin Kline movies. So yeah, Kevin Kline actor live performance triple feature. And then I invited you to my birthday party.
Why has it been a freaking trip? Is that not my calendar at this point?
I got none of that. What'd you say?
I need to consult my calendar.
Well, my birthday party, dear heart, is June 4th, and we will be doing a long road to ruin for Grease and Grease 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you told me about that one.
Yep.
I just keep forgetting about it.
It's okay. I'm here to remind you. Always something there to remind me. My schedule. All right. So yes, those are the next two that are on the schedule. We can talk if you want to add more or not. But yes, we're gonna do the Pirates of Penzance, and then 2 others, and then Grease and Grease 2, which I'm very excited about. I can't wait for my birthday. I'm going to turn 50 years old, and I can't wait just so I can torture everyone with Grease 2.
You never know. I may fucking love this movie.
Have you ever
I
seen
love
Grease?
Son of the Mask, so
Fair. You're a strange duck, Chae Tate. Have you ever seen Grease 2?
I have not seen Grease 2. I've seen Grease 1.
You're in for a fucking treat, let me tell you.
Is this a trip movie? Should I be drunk when I'm watching this?
You should absolutely be doing something besides just straight watching the movie. I'll tell you that right now. All right.
Yeah.
So that's where Chae will end up. It's coming on next, unless she decides to take on some other podcast. This past week, myself and Jesse Starcher did a compare and contrast of The War of the Roses, the 89 movie with the 2025 iteration. On Monday, myself and Robert Winfrey reviewed 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Alexis did a review of Welcome to Derry. There was no podcast yesterday. Tomorrow, allegedly, I will be doing a podcast with Kathleen and Mick by Mick's request. Mick told a story on the Metal Hammer of Doom a month or so ago about how she did impact play at a sex club somewhere in Missouri. And I asked her a bunch of questions because I am now a kink community tour guide and information person. So I asked her a whole bunch of questions. She was like, "Do you just want to do an entire podcast dedicated to kink?" And I went, what?" And so I was hornswoggled into hosting this thing. And then Kat found out about it, and now she's a part of it. And I think my girlfriend wants to come on. So tomorrow night I will be drunk. That's what I'll be. And and women will talk about kink, and we will all go to hell. Sunday, there is no podcast because I am being dragged to a concert. But Monday on the Damn You Hollywood, myself, Jason, good to his mother, and Robert will be reviewing the new Chris Pratt movie, Mercy. Wednesday instead of Sunday. Sessions is back. We are going to create an AI version of a podcast compressed into a song. We're going to take our review of Too Old to Die Young from way back when, one of my favorites. And we're going to set it to an inspiration of Only the Good Die Young by Billy Joel. And then we close out January with our final triple feature of the month. This one was pitched by Kat. We're going to be doing yet another John Water focus. A few years ago for Pride Month, we did the Trash Trilogy. Now we're going to look at some of his independent work here. We're going to look at Polyester, Hairspray, and Cry Baby. And that is all for January. Chae Tate, show us where you piss from.
I am Chae Tate at TateFX. I don't really have anything going on at the moment. I am mostly trying to get my ass to Pittsburgh so that I can go to the Tom Savini School of Makeup Arts. But yeah, that's really okay. There's not much happening here.
All right. Chae Tate, always a lovely time. I enjoy talking to you. This has been Triple Feature. I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.